So, welcome back to another episode of the The Urban with Tactics podcast. Today we are talking about something, as so often. It's gonna be about something Reddit related, and I do really hope that I'm having enough space for like one recording or something. But I'm gonna notice if this is not the case. Yeah, not the case. So let's actually see what we can find. Let's actually see what we can find. Reddit. Will Smith being all over the place. I understand it. I get it. But I kind of do not get it. But it is fine. It is fine. It really is. There we go. A fool sees another man's downfall as a topic of discussion. A wise man sees it as a warning to himself. Which, really does make sense and really also maybe should be the case. But what I've expected was a fool sees another man's downfall as a topic to discuss, as being something to talk about, be funny about, and a wise man tries to help, tries to do something about it, tries to help this other person because it's sensical to help others. Like it doesn't make much sense to be happy about somebody else's downfall, about somebody else being just wrong, or maybe just doing something, maybe whatever it might be about it. Why should I, or why should one? Like there's no reason why this is beneficial to me, because it isn't. In case anybody needs to hear this today, I'm going to share my story of how I went from feeling lost and unmotivated to feeling fulfilled and being proactive in my pursuit of ambitions. I'm more on the introverted side of the spectrum. The outside world always felt too big and scary, and yet even from a young age, I could tell that the world wasn't catered to my personality. I had a lot of anxiety as a kid about going outside, and I rarely ventured too far out from what I felt like home to me. I consider myself as an observer of the world rather than someone who jumps right into things, so my approach to life was always passive. Although I had big dreams for my life and have never stopped trying to be the best version of myself, my ambitions always felt more achievable for people with more proactive personalities. I had endless projects that I had started, but nothing I ever finished. This felt very shameful to me. I felt like I was always on the outside looking in, which was painful for me. I had zero motivation to do anything or maintaining any goals that I set long term. For years, I searched for answers to my problem with my lack of motivation. Anytime I discovered I was slightly anemic, but not enough to account for why I was always tired and had no real quote-unquote drive. Other than that, I was a relatively healthy person. For all intents and purposes, I was high-functioning depressive. I had the bare minimum to function normally, if I'm honest. I at least made it to university and got myself a graduate job after. But again, this was a job that I fell into and nothing that I sought out for myself, so it wasn't fulfilling in the slightest. Nothing in my life was fulfilling because I hadn't actively participated in any of it. I always felt like things just happened to me, and yet I was frustrated with everyone else with how disappointed I was in my life. Compared to the life I actually wanted to live, for years I watched as my life passed by. As I was approaching my late 20s, I started to feel very anxious. I had nothing to show for the life that I always dreamt of, and I was starting to feel like time was running out for me to do anything about it. At my worst, I was a 27-year-old woman, still living at home with both parents. I hated my job. Nobody had loved me yet. I was running out of money as I was dipping into the very little savings that I had left. Everywhere I looked, I could see people my age achieving wonders. I wanted to achieve a lot too, but I lacked the confidence to believe that I could do it because of my personality and lack of motivation. So I never did. Looking at my life and how little I contributed to anything or anybody made me feel very worthless. This was my bottom. Plot twist, I turned it around because I told myself that enough was enough. It was a lot of inner work, but eventually I found my path. Then I found my passions. This brought me fulfilling and the confidence to take action, which brought me motivation. I am now an active participant in my life. I feel in control and grateful every day. For everyone who doesn't believe it, you can turn it around and it is never too late. There are days where you will not believe it. It is possible and you won't see an end in sight. But please believe me when I say this. If I can do it, you can do it too. You didn't share your story of how you changed, just that you did. I was sad and I'm motivated, but then I decided to be motivated. Now I am motivated and you can be too if you decide to be motivated. I think we got rickrolled. Yeah, I do get the point here of, okay, there was no real advice here, but one comment actually saying, and I just read it, I was sad and unmotivated, but then I decided to be motivated. Now I am motivated and you can be too if you decide to be motivated. Which just in a nutshell says, we can do things if we really want to do so. It is a mind game, and as she also stated, she had a lot just to change in her mind, to be able to get this change in her personality and her life. And I really believe in that. I really fucking do, because well, I think quite a lot of things start with the way we think. So everything starts with thinking, maybe, or something, and period. So my advice is not to think more, maybe, but try to see things in a different light. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're encountering, of course, the first reaction is going to be your first reaction. I don't necessarily want you to change that at first, but just, seeing this reaction, then thinking, well, does this serve me in any way? Does this thought, me thinking in this way, is it any good? Like, why? Why am I doing this? And maybe things change. I don't know. It is a process. It is a very, very, very long process. And I really also believe that for her, it's also been a very, very fucking long process. Be brave, be strong, be you. You're strong as fuck. Everything that has happened, everything that has happened in your life, you have fucking handled. Doesn't matter if you had tears in your eyes or you did it, you got through it.